Avoid this mistake if you want to live a life that truly matters. In a world full of distractions and constant demands, it's easy to get caught up in the noise and lose sight of what's important. We all know the feeling of striving for success or happiness, but somehow still feeling unfulfilled. It's time to change that. In today's video, I'm going to share 9 powerful steps that will help you live a life of purpose, clarity, and practical happiness. These aren't just tips or ideas. They're grounded in the philosophy of pragmatism, focused on taking actionable steps that lead to real, tangible benefits. So if you're ready to simplify your life, let go of unnecessary attachments, and build relationships that truly elevate you, keep watching. The best advice you'll hear today could be the key to transforming how you live, think, and interact with the world. Let's dive in. Number 1. Focus on what you can control. We all love the feeling of being in control, right? That sense of empowerment, of steering the ship of your life exactly where you want it to go. It's a satisfying emotion, something that drives us to be our best selves every day. But if you stop and think about it for a moment, how often do you truly have control over everything around you? The job market, the economy, other people's actions, or even the weather. So much of what happens is beyond our reach. We often find ourselves in situations where the world feels chaotic and uncontrollable, and it's easy to feel overwhelmed. It's natural to want to solve every problem, fix every issue, and manage everything that comes our way. But the truth is, you can't always control everything. You might remember a time when you tried to juggle too many things at once, hoping for a perfect outcome, only to be disappointed. It's not that you didn't try, it's just that some things are simply beyond your power. This is where pragmatism comes in. It encourages us to focus our energy and resources on what we can influence. In the grand scheme of life, it's not about trying to control everything, but about recognizing what's within your grasp. Imagine if you could direct all your energy toward those aspects of life where you have real power. Your thoughts, your actions, your choices. By focusing on the controllable, you stop wasting energy on things you can't change. Have you ever tried to change someone's mind or control an outcome that was beyond your control? It's draining, frustrating, and often leads to disappointment. So, instead of dwelling on the things that are out of your hands, turn your attention to what you can do. Your responses, your attitude, your actions. That's where your power lies. This doesn't mean you should ignore what's happening around you, but rather, it's about choosing your battles wisely. For example, you can't control your boss's decision to delay your promotion, but you can control how you respond to it. You could choose to sulk or take proactive steps to improve your skills. Think about it. If you've ever focused your energy on what you could change, you've likely noticed how much more empowered and fulfilled you feel. Focusing on what you can control means less frustration and more progress. It's about creating a mindset where you stop worrying about the things that are out of reach and pour your effort into areas where you can make an actual difference. Number 2, align actions with practical outcomes. There's something incredibly satisfying about seeing the results of your actions, right? When you put in the effort, make the plans, and finally, those plans lead to real, tangible results. It's the kind of joy that fills you with pride, knowing that every step you took was a building block toward achieving something meaningful. But how often do we find ourselves stuck in endless cycles of busyness without ever pausing to ask, is this leading to something that truly matters? We often get caught up in day-to-day tasks, feeling productive, but unsure if they are getting us closer to our goals. Remember that time when you worked hard on something, but the outcome just didn't align with what you expected? That feeling of disappointment when your efforts didn't lead to any practical benefit can be discouraging. Pragmatism calls for aligning your actions with real-world outcomes. It's not just about staying busy for the sake of it, but about taking deliberate, calculated steps that move you closer to tangible goals. Think about the work you do daily. Are your actions truly helping you grow or achieving something important? When you make decisions, ask yourself, will this help me move forward in a meaningful way? Aligning actions with practical outcomes helps cut through the noise of unnecessary tasks and focus on what really matters. Think back to a time when you focused your efforts on something that truly mattered to you, a personal project, a fitness goal, or a career ambition. You probably felt a deeper sense of satisfaction when that effort led to real results, didn't you? It's easy to get distracted by immediate gratification, by things that seem urgent but have little lasting value. For example, you might find yourself checking your phone or social media repeatedly without realizing that these small distractions are stealing your time and energy. Instead of wasting time on things that don't matter, imagine how much more fulfilling life could be if you aligned your actions with outcomes that had real significance. Whether it's developing a new skill, working toward a promotion, or building meaningful relationships, aligning your actions with practical results helps you focus on the bigger picture. It's about making sure your actions aren't just busy work, but that they are tied to meaningful, actionable results. This mindset shift doesn't just change what you do, it transforms how you feel about what you do. Number 3, adapt to change for growth. Have you ever had one of those moments when everything in your life seemed to be moving in one direction, and then suddenly the path shifted? Maybe it was a job loss, a relationship change, or even an unexpected move to a new city. In those moments, the emotional roller coaster is hard to ignore. At first, you might have felt shock, then maybe fear, and then a deep sense of uncertainty. It's natural to resist change. We get comfortable in our routines, and when something disrupts that comfort, it feels unsettling, even overwhelming. Yet with time, we often come to realize that change is sometimes the catalyst for growth, if we allow ourselves to adapt. Think about a time when change felt terrifying, but after you embraced it, it led to personal growth. Perhaps you had to adjust to a new work environment, and at first, it felt awkward, but in the long run, you learned skills that made you more competent and confident. That's the power of adaptation. Pragmatism teaches us to adapt to change by viewing it not as a threat, but as an opportunity for growth. Change, especially in uncertain times, can be a powerful force for personal and professional development. Instead of fearing the unknown, pragmatism encourages us to view it as a chance to learn, evolve, and ultimately improve. How often do you feel anxious when things are changing around you? It's natural, but it's also an opportunity to adapt. Think about it. Every time you've faced an unexpected change, you were forced to learn new ways of thinking and acting. Whether it was learning how to work remotely or navigating a new phase in your personal life, each change brought with it a new chance to grow. When we stop resisting change and start adapting to it, we unlock new levels of potential within ourselves. Look at how you've changed over the years. The person you were 5 or 10 years ago is likely quite different from who you are now. Some changes were small, but others were huge shifts in perspective, and you grew stronger, wiser, and more resilient as a result. Adapting to change is a skill, and like any skill, it takes practice. It's not always easy, and it doesn't always feel good at first, but over time, the results speak for themselves. Pragmatism encourages us to stop seeing change as something to fear, but rather as something to embrace for the practical benefits it brings. By learning to adapt, we find opportunities for personal growth in even the most challenging of times. Number 4, let go of the uncontrollable. There's a feeling that most of us know all too well. the sensation of holding tightly to something that's slipping through your fingers. Whether it's a job, a relationship, or a dream, there are moments when it seems like no matter how hard you try, some things simply aren't meant to be. Think about a time when you desperately tried to change a situation that was beyond your control. Perhaps it was trying to change someone's mind, fix a situation that wasn't your responsibility, or make something work that was already falling apart. The harder you gripped, the more out of reach it became. You might have felt frustration, anger, or even sadness. It's hard to let go, especially when it feels like giving up. But here's the thing, when we hold on to the uncontrollable, we waste energy that could be better spent elsewhere. It's a familiar feeling for many of us, a stubborn refusal to accept the inevitable. But letting go doesn't mean giving up. It means freeing yourself from unnecessary struggle. Pragmatism teaches us that holding on to things we can't control does more harm than good. Think of the times you've stressed about things outside your power. Maybe you've tried to predict the future or worried about what others think of you. It's easy to get trapped in these thoughts, trying to control something that's just beyond your reach. But the truth is, letting go of what you can't control is incredibly liberating. Think back to a time when you decided to stop worrying about something you couldn't change. The peace that followed that decision was not only a relief, but also a crucial step toward reclaiming your energy for things that matter. Letting go doesn't mean being passive or apathetic. It's about being intentional. It's about realizing that by releasing the uncontrollable, you open up space for focusing on what you can impact. For instance, you can't control the weather, but you can control how you dress for it. You can't change someone else's behavior, but you can choose how you respond to them. By letting go of the uncontrollable, you take back your power and direct it toward things that truly matter. It's about stopping the cycle of frustration and moving forward with a sense of purpose. When you let go, you allow room for new opportunities, ideas, and experiences that are aligned with your values and goals. And it all starts with understanding that there's freedom in releasing what you can't control. Number 5, prioritize actions with tangible benefits. We've all experienced those moments when we put in the effort, the time, and the energy, but the results don't seem to match our investment. It's the frustration of doing something that doesn't seem to lead anywhere. You might have spent weeks working on a project only to see it fizzle out. Or maybe you've poured your heart into something only for it to be met with indifference. It's a disappointing feeling, right? It often makes us question whether our efforts are even worth it. But what if you could shift the focus from just staying busy to staying productive in a way that yields real results? This isn't just about working harder. It's about working smarter. It's about making sure that your actions are tied to tangible benefits that move you forward, whether in your career, personal life, or relationships. Pragmatism encourages us to prioritize actions that bring real, measurable results. It's about asking the question, what's the practical benefit of what I'm doing right now? Think about a time when you felt truly productive, the kind of productive where you could see clear results from your efforts. Whether it was accomplishing a career goal, learning a new skill, or making progress in a relationship. That sense of accomplishment is different from simply staying busy. Instead of chasing every task that seems urgent, it's important to focus on the ones that will get you closer to something meaningful. Take a moment to think about how much more satisfying life would be if you dedicated your time to actions that led to tangible, lasting benefits. Wouldn't that make your days feel more rewarding? When you begin to focus on actions that have a clear and valuable outcome, you move away from the mindless busyness that so often clutters our lives. Whether it's spending time on a project that will advance your career, cultivating a relationship that brings mutual growth, or taking care of your health to live a longer, more fulfilling life, you align your efforts with outcomes that matter. It's not about doing everything, it's about doing the things that truly move the needle. Think about it. If you spent your time and energy on actions that directly impacted your goals, how much more satisfying would your achievements feel? Instead of running in circles, you'd be moving forward, one deliberate step at a time. Number 6. Detach from unnecessary attachments. We all have attachments, things, people, beliefs that we hold dear. Some are positive, grounding us in ways that add value to our lives. Others, though, can become burdens. Whether it's holding on to an outdated belief, a material possession, or even a toxic relationship, attachments can limit our growth. It's not easy to detach from something that's been a part of your life for a long time. You may have thought that these attachments were necessary for your happiness. Maybe you've struggled with letting go of old habits or relationships because they provided comfort, even if that comfort was only temporary. But think about the times when you clung to something that no longer served you. Maybe it was a job that didn't fulfill you, a friendship that drained you, or a material possession that became more of a burden than a joy. The more you held on, the more weight it added to your life, and the harder it became to move forward. Pragmatism suggests that we detach from unnecessary attachments so we can make room for what truly serves us. When we hold on to things that no longer benefit us, we are weighed down by them. These attachments, whether physical, emotional, or mental, can cloud our judgment and prevent us from making the most out of our lives. Imagine if you let go of just one thing that no longer served you. How much lighter and freer would you feel? The idea is not to become detached from everything, but to practice discernment. Not every attachment is worth maintaining. By removing things that no longer align with your values, you create space for the things that matter more deeply. Detachment doesn't mean becoming cold or indifferent. It means making space for the things that genuinely add value. Think of a time when you let go of something that was holding you back, and the relief that followed. Whether it was giving up a bad habit, walking away from a draining relationship, or letting go of a material possession that no longer added joy to your life, the process of detachment brings clarity. It's about focusing your energy and resources on things that will contribute to your growth and happiness. Detachment is about freeing yourself from what holds you back, so you can move forward with purpose and intention. Number 7. Reflect and learn from experience. Think back to a moment in your life that shaped who you are today. Maybe it was a failure, a big mistake, or even a decision that didn't turn out the way you expected. Now, think about how you responded in that moment. Did you let it defeat you, or did you find a way to learn and grow from the experience? Reflection is an underrated practice in our busy lives. It's easy to get caught up in the rush of day-to-day activities, pushing forward without taking a moment to pause and understand the lessons life is trying to teach us. How often do we find ourselves making the same mistakes over and over again, simply because we didn't take the time to reflect? It can be frustrating, right? We think we've learned, but without true reflection, we can easily fall back into old patterns. Pragmatism encourages us to take a step back and reflect on our experiences. This reflection isn't about dwelling on the past or beating ourselves up for mistakes. Instead, it's about understanding what worked, what didn't, and why. Reflection is about gaining clarity, learning from the past, and using those lessons to make better choices moving forward. Have you ever looked back at a difficult situation and realized that there was a lesson in it that you missed at the time? Maybe it was a failure that taught you resilience, or a setback that opened up new opportunities. Reflecting on your experiences allows you to extract the practical knowledge needed to improve your future decisions. Think of the times when you've reflected on a significant life event and come to a deeper understanding of yourself. Perhaps it was a relationship that ended, and through reflection, You learned what you truly needed in your connections with others. Or maybe it was a job you didn't get, and upon reflection, you recognized how much more aligned your skills and passions were with another opportunity. Reflection creates space for clarity, and when we embrace it, we build a deeper understanding of how to move forward more effectively. It's a tool that allows us to refine our actions and choices. It's not just about reflecting for the sake of it, but about extracting the wisdom that comes with experience. Reflecting on our journey helps us avoid repeating mistakes and guides us in making wiser, more thoughtful decisions in the future. Number 8. Build purposeful relationships. Think about the people you spend the most time with. Do they inspire you? Do they push you to be your best self? Or do they pull you into patterns that don't serve you? Relationships are an essential part of life, but not all relationships are created equal. There's a big difference between relationships that drain you and those that nurture you. We've all had those friends or acquaintances who seem to take more than they give, leaving us feeling exhausted or unfulfilled. But what about the people who truly enrich your life? The ones who challenge your thinking, support your growth, and stand by you when you need them most. These are the relationships worth investing in. But here's the question: how often do we consciously cultivate the relationships that really matter? Or do we sometimes take them for granted, only to realize too late that we've neglected the very connections that add the most value to our lives? Pragmatism urges us to build relationships that are aligned with our values and goals. These are not just relationships that are convenient or comfortable, but those that bring real, practical benefits to our lives. Building purposeful relationships means investing time and energy in people who contribute to our growth and who we can also support in return. Think about the most impactful people in your life, those who have been there through thick and thin. These relationships likely didn't happen by accident. They were built through shared experiences, mutual respect, and a commitment to each other's well-being. Purposeful relationships are not just about having fun or seeking comfort. They're about mutual growth and deep connection. Imagine if you focused on building relationships that serve both you and the other person, ones that challenge you to be better, and ones that provide you with opportunities for growth. Whether it's through a mentor who helps guide your career, a partner who supports your personal journey, or a friend who encourages your dreams, purposeful relationships are invaluable. Think of it this way: your relationships are like the support system that helps you reach higher, go further, and navigate life's challenges with more confidence. Building these relationships takes effort, but the payoff is profound. When we surround ourselves with the right people, we create a network that propels us forward and enriches our lives in ways we can't always anticipate. And as we pour into these relationships, we find ourselves not just growing individually, but growing together. Number 9. Simplify for practical happiness. Have you ever felt overwhelmed by the clutter in your life? The endless to-do lists, the piles of stuff that seem to accumulate without your notice, or the mental clutter of too many decisions to make. It's easy to get caught up in the busyness of life, thinking that more is always better. More stuff, more responsibilities, more activities. But the truth is, the more we accumulate, the more stressed and distracted we become. Have you ever taken a step back and looked around, realizing that all the things you thought would bring you happiness are just adding to your anxiety? It's a common experience for many of us. In a world that constantly pushes for more, it can be hard to recognize that sometimes less is more. Simplifying your life isn't about depriving yourself, but rather about cutting out the excess that weighs you down. Pragmatism teaches us that simplicity is often the key to practical happiness. The more we simplify, the more we create space for what truly matters. It's not about living with less for the sake of it, but about living with more for the sake of what truly matters. Number 10. Build purposeful relationships. Have you ever felt overwhelmed by the clutter in your life? The endless to-do lists, the piles of stuff that seem to accumulate without your notice, or the mental clutter of too many decisions to make? It's not about living with less for the sake of it, It's about focusing on what provides real value to your life. Simplifying your environment, your tasks, and even your relationships allows you to focus on what's truly important. When was the last time you decluttered your living space or pared down your schedule? You probably felt a sense of relief, didn't you? When you remove the unnecessary, you free up mental and physical energy to focus on things that truly bring joy and fulfillment. Think about how much more peaceful and happy you could feel by simplifying areas of your life. Instead of chasing after material possessions or accumulating responsibilities that drain your time and energy, imagine if you prioritized the things that brought real value. Maybe it's focusing on a few close relationships instead of spreading yourself thin with acquaintances. Perhaps it's reducing your workload so you can spend more time on personal development or hobbies that truly make you happy. Simplification doesn't mean giving up everything. It's about recognizing what adds real happiness and what simply adds to the noise. When you simplify, you give yourself the space to truly enjoy life's simple pleasures. This is where practical happiness comes in, focusing on what matters and eliminating the distractions that keep you from living fully. If you've made it this far, drop a thumbs up. It shows that you're part of the 0.01% who are committed to finishing what they start and are serious about making real changes in their life. The steps we've covered today aren't just ideas. They're actionable principles that can truly transform the way you live, work, and interact with the world. Now it's your turn to take these principles and put them into practice. If you're ready to continue on this journey toward a more purposeful and fulfilling life, make sure to join our community by subscribing to the channel. You don't want to miss the next steps we'll be exploring together. Stay tuned, keep applying these lessons, and remember, change starts with the choices you make today.